So we'll call the meeting to order. It is 9:07 on January 8, 2024. So the first item on our agenda is to approve the minutes of December 4th. Do I have a motion for that?
I will make the motion.
Second. Deb has made the motion, seconded by Carolyn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I think we have a quorum because we have... Do we have Russ on?
Yes, I'm here. And John's here.
So we have a quorum, right. Okay.
I will have to step off in a bit, so...
Shall we then ask, do we have to ask to designate Ed as a voter for when Russ or someone else in the meeting has to leave?
I think you just announce it.
Okay. All right.
That Ed's authorized.
All right. Good. There's no one here from the public. So, shall we go on to the Secretary's report?
Yep.
Is there anyone on the line? Anyone else on the line?
Is there anyone else on the line?
I guess no comment. No comments. Okay.
Okay, so the Secretary's report, we are monitoring 10 active C of A's. Several of them are going to expire in February, so we will be renewing those, asking people to come in so that they can be renewed. The CLG, Certified Local Government Report, is finished. And I'm just waiting for a copy of the latest municipal audit, which we also have to send in. And then that will be submitted. Web page updates. I've sent some more updates to Katie to ask her to put those in and correct a few things. The plaque program update for 62 Lime Street. Tracy was not happy with the date, so she asked Skip Broom to come and look at her house, and he had some very interesting findings.
Which house the Bugby house?
Yeah, the Bugby house.
Tracy.
Yeah.
North of that Elm building.
Yeah. So he found lots of interesting things, which I printed out. Anyway, the bottom line is it seems that there's still part of the original house there. So we have to discuss that. This is for Carolyn.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's what he found.
Good, that's fascinating.
So that was really interesting.
Yeah.
So we have not ordered the plaque on that.
Okay.
Just waiting on that.
What date had you picked, and did you get any indication of how old it might be?
There were parts of it that seemed to have been left over from the early 1800s, 1830s, 1840s, some floorboards, some windows, and Skip felt that those were original to the building, like not materials that had been taken from another building and then reused, which was pretty common, but were still in their original place.
Oh, so they were windows that were installed, not in the basement or anything like
Right,
that. Mm-hmm.
right.
Oh, interesting.
So not all of the windows have been replaced? I thought all the windows had been replaced.
No.
There's some original windows?
Still some original windows from different periods. Some are older than others. Some have a stationary top portion and then the bottom portion moves. Others have the the old ones with the ropes inside the frames. There are some of those. So it's very interesting. Very interesting what he came up with.
And the floorboards?
There are some very wide, old floorboards there that appear to still be in their original position rather than being reused from another building.
Interesting. Fascinating.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll have more research to do because we know it was called the Higgins Lay House, and we know that portions of that house were reused in the house that Bugbee built.
Yes.
But I didn't know that they were still on site, that they were still there.
Right, right.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, yeah. So that's still the
Good.
ongoing saga of the
Thank you.
62 Lime Street. And the other thing is that I got in touch with the Pomeroy Foundation about the National Votes for Women trail marker, the relocation, and they said that's fine. I said it had been installed in the wrong location and we wanted to move it closer to the approved location. And they said, that's not a problem. Just send them a photo when it's moved of the new location. So,
Excellent.
that was
Excellent. And I looked at that tree because the tree expert that we brought in, the arborist, said that the tree itself was declining and failing, and it really, you can see if you just look up, the leaves are all very degraded, and So, that's an issue.
I have a question, Martha, on the plaque program. Has anyone ever asked you, or do we have anything to say that the plaque program is not sort of a legal designation? I mean, I've been questioned by an insurance company. They want to not insure historic houses. Is there anything about that?
I think the only thing there would just be the circa.
Right. But I mean, I understand that our program is just something that we are doing on a local level to designate some historic significance, but it's not listed, for example, as a nationally registered property.
Right. It doesn't restrict anything that you can do on your house.
I know
That's
that.
what they're worried about.
Yes. Well, what they're worried about is that they have to do things to a standard that would exceed any normal sort of standard.
Oh.
So anyway, it's just a question. Yeah.
I
Okay.
think, unless it's a National Historic Landmark.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So I know that our plaque program, it does not meet that level of scrutiny, but they don't.
Maybe we need to add something.
They see a plaque on the side of the house when they do a drive-by inspection, and they say, "Oh my goodness, this is
right.
this." They don't understand the difference.
Right.
That's all.
Maybe we need to put a disclaimer in our
Something like that.
Yeah.
Based on the best
That this doesn't restrict.
that we have to date.
Yeah.
It might be helpful because it's becoming increasingly difficult to insure any houses, let alone old ones.
Yeah.
So, it just might be something we consider.
Because everybody's in the flood zone.
Everyone.
Also.
And everyone's in the flood zone.
Yeah.
All right. And anything else, Martha?
That's all I can think of.
All right. So the co-chair's report. My only comments are that Russ Todd is up for renewal, and I know from correspondence that he has reapplied. So thank you, Russ, for agreeing to remain on the commission. And
yes. It's been a pleasure and a wild ride.
Good. Well, we couldn't do it without you. And second, as I think everyone knows, Julie Malloy has applied for an alternate spot, and her application has been received by the Selectman's office, and they will consider it along with numerous other appointments at their upcoming meeting. So John Noyes wrote a response to Martha Shoemaker, just acknowledging our support of Julie's application. And that's all I have to report today. Election of officers. I'm not quite sure how this should go. John?
I think the floor is open for nominations.
Okay. Floor is open for nominations.
Do we nominate the existing chairs if we wish them to continue? I would like to nominate John Noyes and Deanie Mallory as the ongoing chairs of the Oline Historic Commission.
And I would second that.
Okay. Any comments?
This is for an annual
Term of 1 year.
So
I would like to comment.
No guarantees in the down the road. But.
My comment is that we are greatly indebted to John and Deanie for their extraordinarily capable and dedicated leadership, and we owe them a debt of thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and my comment is that we faced many challenges that were kind of unexpected over the past few years, and we have some challenges coming up. And the dedicated and thoughtful and careful work of Deanie and John has steered us through recently, and I can only imagine that their continued leadership will be very important and a great steerage for the commission moving forward.
Thank you, Wes. So we vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, John.
Congratulations.
I guess are there enough votes if the two of us abstain?
Yeah. Any opposed? Abstentions? John and I.
I'll abstain, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so 3. Motion passes. All right. Railway plans. John has some remarks on this.
Well, I hope everybody got the most current version, which was sent out late yesterday. If you had read through the January 6th version, it's much the same. There are just a few clarifications. Briefly, it's set up to ask some questions of the powers that be and hopefully get us on a list as a point of contact. There's a good bit of uncertainty about exactly what stage in the legal process this planning study is, and so many of the questions are designed to find out that information, because that kind of dictates when certain comments will be appropriate. The second part recaps changes after 2017, and you may have some other significant ones you have forgotten, or that I forgot, or Deanie forgot to add. And then the final section is a very brief recap of just in case there's someone who's new to the process that doesn't know, a very brief recap of some of the major reasons why the 2017 proposal, the NEC future record of decision to be official, was opposed so strongly. At the micro level, there are still a few holes to fill in that are highlighted in bold, but that's basically what this is.
And I would just add that the purpose of it is primarily in the hope that we will be included as a POC, a person of interest in their deliberation.
A point of contact.
Point of contact, person of interest. Yes. Point of contact. I knew I didn't have it exactly right. Point of contact in their deliberation. So that's our purpose.
John, I thought the document I read carefully, the revised one this morning. I just want to say I think it's brilliant. I know you had input from Deanie and Russ, but this is not easy to write, and I thought it was comprehensive and insightful, and just absolutely beautifully done. So congratulations on that. I can't imagine how much time it took, but it's a really wonderful document. I have several things that I could add, small details, but also just one larger thing or, sort of medium level thing. I do think that your highlighting of the witness stones is important. We've seen over and over that state and national, organizations at both levels have to pay attention to this right now. And I was going to suggest just perhaps ramping that up a little bit about this being a site of enslavement and recovery of history and, something just a little bit more, because I thought it might add, a sort of augment that dimension for this audience that you're writing for. And I had a couple of small things to add, like perhaps add in Boxwood. And I have a question, which I don't know the answer to, although it's an obvious question. Is the Transracial Church, does it have any sort of special designation, or is it just one more, item in the historic district? I don't happen to know that, but it's architecturally considered to be quite significant. So, a few thoughts like that. I can go over those with you, or just give you some suggestions on your draft.
Interesting. It's not on the list.
Yeah, if you could pass along suggestions, that would be great. As far as I know, and Deanie or Russ may have clarifications, but the entire district is on the National Register of Historic Places, and then within the district there are buildings that are called contributing structures.
Right.
I, to the best of my knowledge, that's all the church is.
Yeah,
I mean,
it just surprised me. And two other things I suggested.
And the Sill House also doesn't have any additional designation. Yeah.
I think two other things you might add. One is that they're small things, but they still might build the case. The two trail markers that we've just added, the Lafayette marker and the Ludington marker, add some other level of national significance to the historic district. Perhaps you might want to include that.
I thought I saw it.
It was in another draft.
I didn't see it.
I took it out because there was a suggestion that certainly the Amtrak and national folks will be more impressed, that it might be a good idea not to put in too much detail about relatively minor developments. That it just gets bogged down. I can certainly put that back in.
I would suggest putting it in, but I haven't thought about it, and you all have. So whatever you decide is fine. It just jumped out at me that it wasn't there, but whatever you think. And the other thing is that I don't think I mentioned clearly in the last meeting that as the Cemetery Association considers whether to apply for National Historic Registry listing or State Historic Registry listing, in either case, probably there will be an extension at either level, state or national, of the historic district. That is not our Historic District Commission's decision. It's just an honorary, as you know, an honorary designation. But the National Historic District would be extended to the east, and so that might be a detail you want to include. I'm not sure.
Also, I had a question. I'm
sorry. Just to clarify, Carolyn, so the National Historic District meeting, what's there now for Lime Street will be
Yes, at the national level.
continued
Yeah.
to the east. Okay.
That's right, the National Historic Place listing or whatever, yeah. I'm not sure I have the language just right. It would be extended so that we could get funding from, at the federal level for the bridge, that it would be included in the cemetery would be included in the National Historic Place listing, which it now isn't.
Right.
So just something to consider. Those were just a few thoughts I wanted to throw in.
Would we want to just include the date that the Duck River Cemetery was established,
Yeah, sure.
which is
1676.
1676? It's just an easy add-in, the year.
Yeah,
And the
I
bridge-
think I left a blank for.
Yeah, and I'll give you the date of the bridge, because I really checked carefully on that. So yeah, I'll add in some things for you, John.
Okay. Other general comments, and then maybe we can just touch base with the boldface items and see if anyone has ready answers, and if not, talk about how we'll get the information. Deb, Russ, Ed.
No, I think it was great. I think it was very important to highlight the advances that have happened in the district from 5 years ago.
John, I agree with the comment to, keep to the most significant points. We have to remember who all is going to be reading this, and we want to paint the boldest picture that we can. In other words, thin out. First off, let me state, I think it's excellent. I think the document, and thank you, John, for all the effort on this. In reading through, I think it's important that we do thin out anything that's not absolutely essential, because we do have. I'm looking at who we're CCing it to, who we'll be sending it to, and giving them the key bullet points or key highlights or talking points, if you will, I think is helpful. So that would be how I would lean if trying to make a decision about some of the finer points.
I mean, the other point is if, and I don't know why they wouldn't, but if we're made a point of contact, presumably there will be some notice as to when it's appropriate to send in information. And
correct, right.
It could be that some of these points will appropriately be fleshed out later, or even just restated, but a later comment period might be appropriate to add more things. I do, the lead folks on this are getting comments from DC up to Boston, right? And so the care with which they go through a 7-page document from Old Lyme is questionable. I mean, one hope is that this will become public, and who knows? Maybe it's useful for other folks to seize on some points and expand on them, or maybe get some press coverage. Who knows?
I think that's important. I think it's also important to keep in mind that their process so I've been reading again where this capacity planning study falls in line, and they clearly state the Providence Capacity Planning Study, completion of this planning study will be a precondition to any Tier 2 project studies that are intended to increase capacity in this area. But if you look at the Tier 1 process, part of their process is to include a time for public input. As a matter of fact, if we go back to 2017, we actually asked to extend that window so that we could submit this 82-page document at that point in time. My concern is that they don't have they haven't stated a window, at least on their website, the NEC Futures, a window to receive comment. And when they say public comment, that's not what we're trying to we're not trying to fall into that. But my concern is they might not be open to business for receiving input.
Correct.
They do have a contact on their website that the NEC Futures does, that I sent over this morning, where you can contact them. That's a bit different than a open public comment period, and I think that's the point of the discussion, is to whom this is being addressed, and how does it fall within their process at this point in time, I guess.
Right, and some of the questions are designed to get them to state exactly what that process is. I mean, right. You have Tier 1 and Tier 2 in environmental impact statement. That's what the tiers refer to, is my understanding. It's not clear to me whether they would, they might prepare a new EIS. I don't know. This is 7 years down the road, and some things have changed. I think it's important to know whether they view this study as part of, it could be considered formally part of the earlier Tier 1 process. But you're right, Russ. I mean, we don't know yet, and that's a big point of the letter. We want to get them to say exactly where in the process they are and when these public comments will be open.
Right. It's clear on their website that this is post-record of decision planning, and then they go on to say, or Tier 2 consideration. So in other words, this does not fall under Tier 1, which has that public comment period and all that we submitted for. They simply say this is post-record of decision, and then the record of decision says that they need to complete a New Haven to Providence capacity planning study prior to proceeding into Tier 2.
Right.
That's pretty much all they say. Yeah, and they don't outline a process for the capacity planning study like they did for Tier 1.
Right.
So it's like they've all huddled into a dark hole, and they're working on the Providence capacity planning study, and they may not be required to receive public input for this study. I don't know.
Right, but one broad point I hope we help make is you need to, because lots of things have changed, and I'm sure all up and down the coast there's significant developments that would be relevant. I mean, had they happened, they would have been relevant in their Tier 1 process. And so to proceed to Tier 2 without even looking at or considering what's gone on in the last 7 years is a little odd to me.
It's also alerting our political leadership that we're still here.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think is a key point. So,
I still think there's some merit in having this be a comprehensive document. If you really felt that it was too detailed, it could be structured differently so that the details could be in an appendix, or there could be an executive summary at the bottom or at the top or something. But just being on record, all of the details seems to me to have some merit. But strategically, you know, Russ may be right. I haven't thought it through the way you have, Russ, but I thought that John's approach was, you know, had a great deal of merit, perhaps going forward.
laying it out for future comment. Great.
Well, could we touch base with the boldface issues and then Carolyn, you know, any suggestions or lines or phrasings you can think of would be helpful.
Okay, fine.
And anyone else too. I mean, just send me emails. So for the addressees, as I think I noted, Russ has suggested some names, and Deanie and Russ, can you pull together the names and email contact information?
I wonder if, taking into consideration what Russ is saying about the process, whether we keep it to a smaller group, to the FRA, Amtrak, our political leadership, rather than diving deep into all of those other names. I don't know. What do you think, Russ?
Yeah, I think so. And I want to state that I agree with the comment that it's great to lay it out, right, to get all the detail there. I guess the question is the timing, and it may be that we have this one shot to do that. So there is that. There's an argument that, you know, put the whole case out there in this document. I could support that too, and John's done that excellently. It's very, very well written.
Yeah.
So I think I'm trying to struggle. This is not really I think we should address it to the NEC Futures.
Yeah.
And they have a public. If you go on their website, they have the public address. I'm not necessarily sure it still goes to the project manager. If we can confirm that the project manager is still running the capacity planning study, or if we can find out who is in charge of that study, then perhaps it's addressed to that particular person. If not, it appears to me that it's the NEC Futures that's responsible for the study. And then the other agencies involved would be Amtrak, Connecticut DOT, and then, to your point, Deanie, the political leadership, both state and federal. And I think town too.
Absolutely.
Local.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing to stop us once this is sent from just saying informally to people, you know, it might be useful for organizations in the historic district to get a copy, just to make sure, as a way to suggest that this issue's back and.
Right. It lays it out so well, John. You've laid it out so well. Could we put it on the website? Could we upload the letter onto our... So we could do it that way,
once
too.
it's finished.
Yeah, once it's finished, obviously. Yeah.
Would you want to make sure that Greg Stroud had a copy?
Sure.
I'm not sure he should be listed, but
No.
You know, sure.
No.
He would have access through the website, right?
Yeah, he's obviously interested
Yeah.
party.
Okay. Other boldface issues on page 1. The phrasing represents that we're coordinating with the town. I think that's a good thing to do, to include, but someone probably in person should meet with Martha and say, this is why we're doing it, what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it now. And I think there is a lot of reason to do this now, because this capacity study planning is maybe going on now. Who knows? You know,
Right.
They may be a couple months into it, and they may say, "Yeah, we can wrap this up in another month, and then do whatever notice we have to do." It's an internal study, and so we just don't know. But if this is going to have any weight, I think behooves us to get it in as soon as we can.
Okay.
So the question is, who's going to talk to Martha?
John, I think it has to be maybe you on Zoom or Deanie. What do you think?
Or Russ, because
And
Russ
Russ,
has
yeah.
been working on it.
It's true.
Russ and I could go in, could request a meeting when Russ is back.
When are you back? When are you in it? Yeah, and that gives some time to really polish it up and add a few things if needed.
When are you back, Russ?
Around the 16th or 17th.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's next week. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I do think
Might I
agree with
suggest?
John, the timing's important.
Might I suggest just sharing a draft with Martha, or sharing the document, or is there concern about doing that? Do we want to send over the document? No, not a draft. This is the document that we plan to share.
We could do that, John, just with our names, or what do you think?
And see what
Yeah.
what notifications she's had and what her plan is.
Or just say we're planning to send this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the answer whether it's better to, Deanie, just for you to go down, or you and either Deb or Carolyn, or whether it's better to wait for Russ to.
I think Carolyn. It might make sense for Carolyn and Deanie to go this week, perhaps.
I think timing's important. I mean, if she's available to see us this week, I think that would be
I'm going to be here
preferable.
this week, Monday and Tuesday. I'm not available Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm in New York and Boston, so I could do it tomorrow or I could do it on Monday. But I won't be here this week. I won't be here later this week.
Okay, so Tuesday or next week.
Yeah, next week is
Okay.
open, and next week Monday is okay.
Yep.
Do you think that's soon enough? If she were able to meet, she might not be able to meet us this week anyway.
Okay. Shall I, after the meeting, I can email, or John, you could, and request a
Well,
meeting?
since if I contact her, I'm going to end up being the middleman. So why don't you just contact her?
Okay.
If there are, I would like to take account of comments that about the text that Carolyn has and that anyone else has. So given my schedule today, that might be a bit of a crunch to have this by tomorrow.
So let's try for the early next week.
That makes sense. It makes sense to give Martha a few days also.
And if she can't meet until Wednesday, then hopefully Russ can.
Yeah, I'll be back. I should be back by then. Correct.
By the 16th, Russ, so you'd be available on the 17th?
Yeah, I'm trying to work out my schedule right now, but that's when I'm targeting to be back. Definitely by the 17th, maybe by the 16th.
Okay. John, that gives you a nice amount of time.
Oh, yeah. Okay, not to take all day on this, but page 3, Martha, I wasn't entirely clear. You helpfully provided numbers about the C of A's that we either considered or approved in the last several years. And I put down approved, but I'm not sure whether that's true or whether it's considered. I mean, were some of those applications ones we ended up not?
It's actually
not
considered. Yeah,
okay.
The total is correct, 101, but it's considered because a couple of them were withdrawn or declined or something like that. So, but the number 101 is a good number.
Do you need a separate number for confirmed, John?
No.
I don't think so. I mean, it sort of rolls along with considered.
Yeah.
Fine.
I don't think they care.
Yeah.
You know, it's the point that
Okay.
we're busy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was SHPO, John, that it was for the SHPO review of the Bristol Point application for national designation that we had to approve. We, the Historic District, had to approve, and because of that requirement of our approval, we reviewed the entire application extensively, provided extensive comments and 2 rounds and then SHPO has it, and now it's pending national approval.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Who was around in 2019 when this inventory was done? Were we consulted about that? Did SHPO consult us?
Remember that, Martha? And John Pfeiffer was suggested somebody, but then SHPO, because they were supporting it, decided who they were going to have conduct the study.
Right. And that group was not the best.
Right.
But it served the purpose.
You have a gentle way of putting things, Martha.
So that's how we ended up with the study we have.
Right.
It was more or less at the direction of SHPO.
Yes.
Since they were...
it really was a compilation of mostly secondary sources, and some of the sources considered, such as Carolyn's various blog posts, were, should we say, more carefully done than other secondary sources they considered. So maybe I should just leave that bit about the survey out if we're not sure that we were consulted or a part of it. It appears later in the list of post-2017 developments.
I think we were.
We wanted the survey, and we approved the concept of the survey, but I know John Pfeiffer was not thrilled with who they got.
With the result, but we were certainly...
the quality of it, he wasn't happy with that, but it apparently served the purpose that was intended.
We were certainly at the forefront of requesting that survey be conducted.
Right.
We'd been advised by Connecticut Trust and others that this would be an important document for us to have going forward.
Right.
Well, I guess consultants a broad enough word that we can leave it in.
Yeah.
We may have been consulted it to be. Okay. On page...
We can get the artist trail number. Do you want me to get that from Jeff, John? So it's one less thing for you to do?
Oh, that would be great, sure.
I know he has it. He gave it to me once, but I looked in my email and couldn't find it.
Okay. On page 5, just another thing to check. Jim, the Lampos-Pearson book talks about historic taverns. I just don't have a copy to double check that there are references to.
They have it.
That there are references to. I'm blanking. What's the tavern that was down where the church is?
Tavern and Parsons Tavern.
Parsons, yeah. So if somebody has that booklet, can just email me to confirm that they're talking about taverns in Old Lyme as opposed to ones in East Lyme or Lyme, that would be great.
Okay, I'll do that, Joe.
Carolyn, do you have a number for blog articles or?
No, but I should have one, so I'll count them.
Yeah, or just over 50 or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's about 130 altogether since 2010, but I don't know the distribution, so I can check that.
Okay, thanks.
And the Cemetery Association website, I'll check. I don't know if it was 2021 or 2022 that it launched. I'll check that.
Yeah, I looked at the website, but I didn't quickly see a date. This inventory that we were just talking about,
I like the way you handled it, John, with the 13 and the 12. I thought you...
Yeah,
Maybe you don't.
The copy I printed out doesn't have that. Did that show up in the? Maybe I printed out the wrong copy.
Yes.
Does that show up?
It showed up in draft 3 last night.
Okay, good. So there are 3 sort of bullet points under the main bullet point. Three little circles. Okay.
On page 6, the second bullet point.
Yeah. Okay. I thought they were in there, and then I guess I'm not sure, but why I didn't print out on mine. I probably got the penultimate draft. Anyway, it says it's attached. In a way, I hate to highlight it too much for reasons we've alluded to, but I can't find it online anywhere, so I guess we have to attach it.
I sent that. You mean the list where it broke out the 12 and said under consideration as
Oh, right, but for the recipients, I'm providing web links for where they can find this various information. And I see. I do have the 3 things, but I don't see a website that contains that 98-page study. Oh, and Martha, by the way, when we do attach it, the one you sent actually has 2 identical copies of it, so that makes it almost 200 pages instead of
No wonder it was so long.
98 pages. So, just delete the second half, I guess. All right, but if nobody knows of it online, it I guess has to be attached. And then.
So what are you asking? Do you want the website that has that list that I sent to you? Is that what you're asking?
I want a website that has the full 98-page inventory from 2019.
The inventory, in quote, right. Okay. Yeah.
I'm sure it is somewhere. It must be.
Okay.
I mean, if anyone can find it, I would rather just attach a website than attach that whole document.
Sure. And the website has the map, too, because the map, to me, is a great visual.
Right.
In terms of the cluster argument that we're sort of reaffirming.
Right.
Okay.
On page 7, I don't. I'm a little uneasy saying that something such like the Sill House may qualify for landmark status. I don't know what it takes to qualify. I don't recall seeing that statement in the 2019 study. I think maybe what I have is a clunky way to try to highlight the Sill House, but maybe it's not, no more important than the church or some other buildings that are in the district.
Yeah, I think you could leave that off. I think the argument's strong enough. Without.
Okay.
I agree with you. May also qualify sounds as just something we don't have to say.
Yeah, and I just, if we're not sure, you're probably right. I mean, there's nothing that will discredit a piece more than somebody finding a couple things that are just wrong. Then they tend to start wondering whether other things that are said are fully accurate.
Right. We could work on determining that in the next comment, should we get to that point, into the actual public comment. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if folks can help with we've clarified some of the boldface issues. Help fill in a few other details. It sounds as though this is the document that we want to run by Martha and then send off hopefully early next week.
Good.
John, thanks again. It's really a wonderful contribution.
Do we need, for the record, Deanie or anyone else, a motion to say that I guess not, to say that the commission approves sending this? After
Hello?
After it's finished.
But I don't know if you decide.
Yeah.
Well, John, it seems to me that it would carry more weight if it was an official decision from the HDC to issue the letter. I don't,
Yeah, I mean, if we, Deanie and I can have our names on it, but if it's listed as from the commission and then, our contact names are in there, I think that might be good. Shows it.
Okay.
So if there's a motion to approve sending a memo to I don't know who to appropriate parties.
the FRA, NEC Futures, and associated parties and federal, state, and local representatives. Something to that effect.
Okay, you just said it.
I make that motion.
I second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
discussion? Any discussion? Ed, were you about to say something?
No,
No,
I'm
okay.
here, but I
Okay.
agree with the motion.
Okay.
Okay, Ed, I have to. Oh, good. I thought we just voted.
Sorry. No. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Motion
I have
passes.
to sign off now, Deanie.
Okay.
So, Ed, if you take over, thank you so much. Again,
Sure.
John and Deanie, thank you so much for your work on this.
Well,
Thank you,
thanks.
Russ.
Thank you, Russ.
All right, bye.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right. The next item on the agenda is the sign policy discussion. And again, John, but should we first consider the invitation to the RTC and the DTC to attend the March meeting?
Sure. Get that out of the way.
Yep. Has everyone read the letter?
This broadly, falls under the heading of sign policy.
I think Deb might have had one comment about the memo.
Right, because if I was just receiving this memo, and I always look at things from a step back and looking forward, and how would I just interpret this? Is really in relation to the sign policy. I mean, you could also think of it as it really isn't, because it was something that just came up a few months ago. But I think the reason that it should be clear is that this is in relation to the revision or the establishment of the new sign policy. So I think in your memo, it should state that this isn't just, a discussion because of November, but that this is a discussion and this is a piece that will be included in the new and the establishment of a sign policy in the district.
Yeah, I like Russ's words in our clarification of our sign policy.
Exactly, but there's no, or I guess, is there something in our sign policy currently about political signs? I didn't.
Yes.
I thought.
Well, all it says is currently. I mean, this was one of the few remaining boldface items on page 3. There's just a reference to the community tradition.
Okay,
that,
right.
That's all.
But I would just suggest for this memo to state that this is to clarify, to enhance the new sign policy going forward in the district.
Yeah, as
Okay.
part of our process, of reviewing the sign policy, this seemed to be
That it just doesn't
timely.
came out of the blue kind of thing, that there is
Yeah.
a reason for it, this memo and this meeting.
Okay, sure. That's easy to to add in. And do we have Deanie or Deb the names and contact information for the couple of folks this should officially go to?
Yes, because I'm co-chair or vice chair of RTC, but Randy Nixon, and I can give Deanie his email, and Mary Jo Nozel is the chair of the DTC.
Okay, those are easily, yeah, we can easily get those. And shall we also include the vice chairs, for example, you? Or they could come with anybody they wanted to come with, I suppose. Yeah. Okay.
I would politically rather not, since Deb's on this commission.
Right. Yeah, good point. Okay. So otherwise, is everyone comfortable with that memo? I personally think it's an excellent idea to try and come together and discuss this issue, as we go into this year. So, I hope that everyone agrees it's a good idea to talk it through. Any other comments?
Okay. I don't think that takes I'm not sure we want to highlight that with an official motion in the minutes. It's part of our process to clarify sign policy.
Yes.
So, okay.
So shall we just?
Yeah, that's a great. That was a good idea, Deb. That's worth adding.
Sure.
So from a practical point of view, once you make that revision, John, will you send it to Martha and Martha sends it? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Good. All right. Sign policy.
Yeah, I basically, we were a little rushed towards the end, but I'm trying at this stage primarily to get a document that we can send to Eric Knapp. He had requested that he look at this, and then there are also really some questions for him because of the awkward fit between the zoning regs that govern maximum signs and our own policy. So this should be as good as we can make it at this stage, but this is not the document that we're going to necessarily approve. Eric may have some points that we want to consider before we approve it.
Well, I think
anyone who has comments, it would be great to talk about it today. And I think, Martha, there's one place where you were been digging up some information towards the bottom of page 4.
On the side.
Is that on the sizes of the signs?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Did you? Are you still working on that?
I'm still working on that, and one of the things that I have come across is that for the big signs like the Roger Tory Peterson sign, which was the old Bee and Thistle sign, and the Florence Griswold, there's no sign size information on those.
It was never considered as.
No, they were, I think they were there for so long that it was just about the design and the materials, but not the sign.
The most recent big sign I can think of is the inn.
Yeah, the Old Lyme Inn.
The new wooden signs.
We do have some information on that.
Yeah.
We could use.
Sent us some good pictures of that. Dimensional stuff. So
we could use that as the maximum. I mean, this is a document that will apply going forward. So it would not mean that the Roger Tory Peterson sign had to be reduced in size.
Right.
But I'm not sure we want signs as large as the Peterson Center popping up down Lime Street.
So do you agree that the sign at the Old Lime Inn would be a good gauge for us to
Yeah, I
consider?
don't think it's huge, is it?
No, it appears larger than it actually is because of the framework and everything. You know,
Right.
sort of,
Because it's low to the ground.
it's low to the ground, and there's a sense of it being bigger than the actual sign itself.
Are you saying, John, should the Old Lime Inn sign be considered going forward a maximum?
Well, yeah, but I'm operating a bit from memory. It could be. I mean, we may want a maximum that's smaller than that.
Let's see
What about the new church sign? That has quite a substantial frame, and so the bulk of the overall sign is more, perhaps more notable than the actual sign board itself, the part that has the content.
Yep.
So we might want to evaluate that.
But I don't think this should stop. I mean, stop us from forwarding this to Eric Knapp. Do you? I mean, because he will have questions. We can work on this.
Yeah, that's fine. And I mean, goodness sakes, when I get back, or somebody else before I get back, and take a tape measure and go measure the church
Right.
sign.
And we have the COFA.
And we have that.
Yeah,
Right.
we have the certificate.
We
Yeah.
have drawings for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't recall it well enough whether they the church specified the outside of the border as the size, or whether they
Overall.
Yeah, because
did
Bob
the
Kraft
interior side.
is very precise about
Very.
things like that.
I mean,
I think that's a
COFA
major
was-
point, that, the bulk of that church sign is really quite substantial, even though the signage itself is not perhaps as overwhelming. So I do think we probably have to, consider that. And do we want to still emphasize the post and arm style, which that obviously is not. So that's something to think about. What do we want to recommend, or what do we want to
overall
encourage?
size, a maximum size,
Yeah,
perhaps.
Overall size.
yeah,
Because, the bulk is what
it is.
is what one notices rather than the sign size itself.
Under style, we do say that the post and arm style is required. I think with the church, certainly my attitude was there was so much teeth pulling that we didn't make an issue of it being a post and arm style sign. Maybe we should have, but anyway, going forward, I would favor the post and arm style. All right, well, let's leave it blank for now, but Martha, if you could continue your research and we can come back to that before we finalize the document.
In the current handbook, I'm looking at it right now, it says style recommendations for signage. The post and arm style of a detached sign is encouraged. So,
well, we actually made it a little stronger in
Right.
the middle of page 3 in this document.
okay. Okay. That's going
And for Eric, I would propose leaving in a few of the bold faces. I mean, just in case he forgets. I don't think he will, but Anyway, any other comments before this can be sent to Eric?
Will you have photographs of acceptable signs, like I just saw that you had in the other copy, the older copy?
You mean in the handbook?
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, the handbook will have to be revised at some point.
So will there
Right
be-
now, this is a signed policy, which will be
But you had signs that were acceptable
in here.
as samples. Will you have that in the new one as well?
Sure. I mean, we haven't started to work.
I don't, Deb, I don't know logistically how to do that. Maybe Martha does. The one awkward point, and Martha, correct me if I'm wrong, is that our website does not include the current handbook, and it does not because it was not formatted in a way that allows you to put up the whole thing, including pictures. What I would like to see is that we, or suggest, is that we put up the old handbook and then we put up any amendments, and this could be just appended as a revised or sign policy clarifications or something like that. But eventually, it would go into the next edition of the handbook.
Yeah.
Right.
There have been a couple relatively minor amendments to the handbook that we've already adopted that need to be posted along with the handbook when Martha can figure out how that can be done.
Yeah. See, I have a PDF version of the old handbook, the one before this one. And I also have a program on my computer which converts it to Word, which means that I could edit. I think I could probably edit that and get it into an updated format. It would just have the old pictures with it, not the new pictures.
So where's
Well, could it? Is it possible to scan the current handbook?
I might be able to scan that because I have a different scanner than I had before, and my new scanner will scan things into PDF format. But I think it scans it. It makes it a PDF, but it's actually a JPEG, so it's not really editable. But I'm going to play around with that.
But why do you need to edit it? I would just, at the beginning, just say, applicable HDC policies are found in the handbook as updated by amendments, and then post the amendments afterwards.
I could do that. Yeah.
But you're saying that you could perhaps scan, even if a JPEG, you could perhaps scan the new handbook, then we wouldn't need a separate amendments section.
Well, we would, because
I hate to update the handbook piecemeal because.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, you'd rather just have the handbook as it is and then have the updates separately.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I can do that. I'm sure I can do that.
I don't see any point in scanning the old, out-of-date handbook.
Well, the out-of-date the only thing that's really out of date about the previous version of this is the pictures.
Right.
Okay.
And the map.
All right.
So most of the text stayed the same.
Right.
Almost all the text stayed the same.
Yeah. But we should have the new one.
But it would be nice to
It would, with the map and
Especially the map.
Yes.
Do we have a link to the current revised map that Russ worked on after we got the legal opinions?
I have that map.
I mean, that needs to be on the website.
That should be on the website.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So will each person receive an email or some notification of this new policy? If I'm a homeowner, I'll get something saying, please see our website for updates.
Or it may be that I would think certainly for organizations and businesses, but maybe for everyone, they should get a mail copy in the mail too.
Right, because
Yeah, with a nice cover letter.
when I look at this, just to kind of clarify that it's mostly, I think, intended for the nonprofits, but if I live across the street and, in a previous house of mine, I had a little sign because I had a shared driveway, so I had a little posted sign with my name on it and my house number. I just would say for the homeowners to know that this policy is for them as well.
Right. Sure. I mean, we can once we get feedback from Eric, we can talk about the best way to distribute this.
Okay.
Good idea, though, Deb, to send it out with a cover letter to all the property owners and just another reminder we're all in it together.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, and if there are no other signs today, I would suggest that I send it to Eric Knapp for his comments, and then we'll get another good look at it before it's finalized.
That's great, John. This has been so much work. So thank you.
Well, thanks everybody. I mean, that was a joint effort. So, okay.
Budget.
So they indicated to send us the information about the budget back in November. So I did get it from the finance director, Anita, and I just kept everything the same as last year.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it a little bit differently. They want more detail as far as what the categories are, what they cover, and gave them a basic explanation.
You did that. I think it's...
Yeah, I just put that in. And they're having a meeting now to consider these things. So I should have more information later in the week.
So did you sent this to them? I saw that. You sent it to Anita.
I sent it to Anita.
Right.
Because we were past the deadline.
Yeah.
So it's a preliminary draft. So I'll wait to get feedback from them and see what they say.
Is there any sort of a regular annual percentage increase that included with budgets across the board, or no, or
no? The whole salary thing is cloaked in
secrecy.
Secret. I don't know how they do that. I have no idea what they do with that.
Postage is going up in a few days.
Yeah. We never use our whole postage account. We usually have a little cushion there. And the same with our office supplies. We usually have a little cushion there. It's nice to keep those in there just in case.
Yeah.
Because especially if we want to do some more letters,
for the handbook,
mailing, then we have the option of, we have a little room in our budget. So.
Well, I mean, did this go up 2 years ago? You said it's the same as last year. I mean, if you go back 2 years, we've had
did go up then.
What 10%? Ballpark 10% inflation. We could increase the amount, the categories.
Yeah, because there was so much work in 2022.
Right. No, I
that-
remember petitioning for that.
Yes,
Yeah.
that there were not enough hours. I wasn't approved for enough hours to do
Right.
that. So we put that up.
And we've maintained it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and that's good. And the main problem that I have is finding the time to put in the hours that are already approved. So I would say we should just keep that the same.
All right.
You know, and then, so I think that it works fine for me, so.
Okay.
Okay. So do we have to approve that, or do we wait until they've approved it, or what do we do about that?
We can approve it, or we can just wait and hear what they say. And
Why don't we wait?
It's fine, yeah. I don't think they require our approval.
Okay. Right? Any questions? All right. Do an ongoing business.
Well, excuse me. I mean, did we at some point approve? I mean, I remember in the past we've approved budgets, so at some point we need to approve this, right?
You can put it on the agenda for next month.
Yeah.
Because then we'll have a little more information as to what they're asking and.
I think
Okay. All right, that makes sense.
greater likelihood of it being final. All right, new and ongoing. I have only one thing was brought to my attention by one of our members here, which is that I checked the photographs actually too. On number 78 Lime Street, which is the house that's adjacent to the Lime Academy, where they've redone the barn. On the left side, the south side of the house itself, is a newish mechanical that has been installed. And Ed had some comments about that. Are you still on, Ed?
I am. And my observation is that if we require screening, it may be more obtrusive than the mechanical itself.
So we should ask everyone to take a look at that.
78.
Number 78. And
But in any event, wouldn't they need to come in for a hearing? It's a structure.
right. So that's sort of why Ed and I or Ed brought it up. I looked through the photographs and it wasn't there. So I don't know when it was installed, but we know when it wasn't there. So we probably should put them on the list of people that we want to talk to, as with 6 Lime Street.
Deanie, that was the house that we had the contractor come in?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, we'll add that to the list.
Well, should Martha send them a letter, or be in contact with them about scheduling a hearing? I mean, they are as well as pushing again on 6 Lime Street.
Yep. Right. That's all I have. Does anybody?
I just had one thing. How should I put this? It's come to Deanie and my attention that there has in fact now been a formal complaint filed with zoning about the overhanging sign, the sign at Lackford that overhangs the sidewalk, which does pose some risks to pedestrians and cyclists. So hopefully there will be enforcement action there. I think once this sign policy has circulated and we give maybe a few weeks leeway for people to fix things on their own, there could well be more action that we urge Eric to, more enforcement action we urge Eric to take. But that's, a couple months or so down the road.
I have a question. Has there been any update on Halls Road?
Not that I've seen in any upcoming agendas.
Their agenda, the last one I saw, just said they were still discussing the resubmission.
Yeah. Yes. So.
Deb, does Deb have any information?
I could not attend the meeting last month, and unfortunately I won't be able to go on Thursday either, but that is on the agenda, just the discussion of the resubmission.
Right.
Is there anything else? All right.
I would move we adjourn.
Yeah, I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.